Kazakhstan's mining sector is undergoing significant changes due to new environmental and water regulations. The updated water code, addressing growing concerns over water scarcity, imposes stricter rules on activities near water bodies, creating operational challenges for mining companies. They must adopt innovative solutions for water recycling and sustainable usage while managing increased costs. In addition to water regulations, Kazakhstan is enhancing its environmental policies to reduce the ecological impact of industrial activities, including mining. These efforts align with global environmental, social, and governance standards. Companies are required to improve environmental management, invest in emissions reduction technologies, and focus on biodiversity conservation. To stay competitive and earn stakeholder trust, businesses must embrace transformative practices to comply with these evolving regulations. This session, hosted by SLR Consulting with other industry experts, offers an opportunity to explore innovative solutions shaping Kazakhstan's sustainable mining development. From advanced water treatment and operational efficiency to cutting-edge ESG strategies and digital transformation in green mining, we will gain valuable insights into building a responsible, resilient mining sector. With these challenges come opportunities for growth and collaboration, setting new sustainability standards for Kazakhstan's resource-driven economy.
Good day, dear participants. My name is Jainar Faizuldayeva, and I'm going to be the moderator of this session today. I would like to greet all of you at this interesting and important session that is dedicated to issues of environmental regulation, changes of water code, and we will discuss the best ESG practices today. In the beginning of our forum today, we have heard that there is a growth of demand on critical minerals. There is a demand for some other minerals besides critical ones, and all of this is related to the development of stricter regulations in water area. Today, Kazakhstan is expecting updating of the water code, and probably the new version will intensify some requirements with regard to subsoil user separation. Today, at our session, we have the representative of different companies, from international consulting companies, from mining companies. We also have today the representative of Ministry of Environment. So I hope that today we will have a vivid discussion, and I kindly ask all our audience and participants to ask your questions to the speakers. I hope we're going to have a good dialogue. I also would like to say that we have some changes in our program. We will start with the presentation or slides of Ed Austin, who is the main specialist of hydrogeology, SLR Consulting Company, and then we will go based on our agenda. And Zhibek will be presenting her view as a final speaker. Now I would like to invite Ed. Please, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everybody. This talk is about sustainable mine water treatment. I gave it the tagline, upgrading natural processes. So when putting this talk together, I was speaking to my colleagues, thinking what could we talk about today, and thinking about the themes of the session and some of the key aspects of the new codes. I think in terms of sustainable development and recycling and innovation, emissions reduction and challenges around improving environmental management, I think sustainable water treatment of the passive nature has a role to play in this, and hopefully by the end of the talk you will agree with me. So quick introduction. My name's Ed Austin. I work for SLR in Europe. I'm in the mine water team. I'm a principal mining hydrogeologist. Just permit me a quick advert. SLR and Wardale Armstrong are together now, and we're exhibiting together. We're at booth number 25, so please come and say hello. Now I'll introduce the talk. So today I'll run through some of the natural ideas behind passive treatment. What is passive treatment? I'll talk about that. Some of the forms of technology that you can encounter, some of the key principles around it, and some of the key sustainability benefits. And then I'll run through at a high level some of the examples and how you might go about developing one of these systems. So I gave the tagline upgrading natural processes, and really a lot of the ideas come directly from nature. I'm sure you're all aware of natural systems, natural chemical system in soils. In such environments like bogs and wetlands, you get these oxidation and biological processes which result in accumulations and accretions. For instance, you get ferrocrete and bog iron. So it's well known that this process alters the chemistry of water naturally. And we know through time that natural environment like wetlands has been used by local communities and miners to try and reduce some of the impact of these waters when they come out into the environment. I guess these, in the past, they weren't really sure what was happening, they just know it did something to improve the quality. So, over time, this has been since ancient times, the Romans, right through to recent sort of historical industrial past in Europe. And in the last few decades, 30, 40 years, wetlands is an established practice. And in more recent decades, this has come into other areas of passive treatment. So really, what we're looking to do is take that natural process, try and separate the aerobic and anaerobic processes, and try and optimise these processes for what we want it to do, and essentially improve the water quality. So really, you're just trying to capture this natural power that you have in the environment and harness it. So here are some examples. You can see on the left-hand side, these are some accretion examples from aerobic environments. You have the ferrocrete, you have the bog iron in the middle, and there's an example of manganese at the bottom. On the right-hand side, you can see accumulation on organic matter naturally. This is some microscopic images of galena accumulating on different organic surfaces. So these are quite good examples of the natural processes which we're looking to optimise. Okay, so what is passive treatment? To try and give it a definition. So this chap called Jim Guzak, very strong researcher in the area. He gave this definition maybe 2 decades ago now, and it's quite a good one. Basically, it's a process of using a natural-looking system to reduce your contaminants or acidity in these man-made biosystems, and you're still trying to capitalise on these natural, ecological, and geochemical reactions. And I suppose the key part of the definition is you don't need power or chemicals. You're not requiring these things. After construction, you're looking for it to run for decades with minimal intervention. So it can take various forms. Here are some generic categories. These can be called different names, but generally we talk about aerobic wetlands. That's the one which is probably most people are familiar with. You have anoxic limestone drains and anaerobic wetlands, and then you can have reducing and alkalinity reducing systems, and then finally open limestone drains. So you can see from the application description on the right hand side, it can treat a variety of waters. You've just got to select the right type for what you have to deal with. So you can see it can deal with acidic and alkaline drainage and with metal content as well. So this table is taken from the GAR guide, and that's probably a really good reference if you want to look up anything further. It's one of the key documents. Okay, now I'll talk about the principles and mechanisms. So, as I said before, you're using this natural available energy, metabolic and chemical energy, trying to use gravity where possible. And the key thing is this infrequent maintenance, this long span. So ideally we're looking for around 25 years, something like that, a decent period of time before we need to replenish the media. One thing to consider, generally low flow would be applied. They can do probably more volume than you think. One of the key things to consider when we talk about flow is not so much the volume, it's more the load, the metal load, the acidity load. When this becomes very concentrated, these systems can struggle somewhat. So basically what you're looking to do is, to apply these principles, you can find in the GAR guide, for instance, there'll be design flowcharts, and you can look up your problem, and it'll take you through a step-by-step. Okay, you have this problem, you should apply this type of technology, passive treatment technology. And this sort of early stage conceptual design, it can be readily done by most mining professionals. And then once you decide this is something that you can consider, then you can start looking at it from a specialist angle. But the key principle really is to remove that load, and this is by this mechanisms: oxidation, precipitation, absorption, and ion exchange, and also phytoremediation. And just to explain, phytoremediation is the uptake of the load by plants and organic matter. So sustainability benefits, they're quite natural looking. If you can imagine aerobic wetlands, you can imagine how they fit in quite nicely with the environment. Basically they're sustained without chemicals. You're not using a lot of materials to build. The materials you use in the media can be actually waste materials anyway. You're not generating a lot of brines to deal with that you would do with an active treatment system. Generally, it's a bit of a generalisation. They're generally cheaper to build and run. Another key benefit that I see is that there's a very active research community. There's a lot of innovation. For instance, some people will know you go to water conferences as it tends to dominate some of it sometimes. But for operators and other companies, there's a good opportunity to reach out to the local research communities and collaborate. So this is an example of a net acidic system. These are reducing bioreactors. They employ the reducing bacteria to reduce sulfate to sulfides. And you can see here on the right hand side is a sketch. And you're looking at vertical flow through this system, through this substrate. And it's coming out the other side, out for your discharge pipe. It's key, really to monitor these systems and look for the changes in effluent, monitor the performance. This is an example of a net alkaline system, aerobic wetlands. There's some examples from the coal fields in South Wales with closed mine shafts. These do a pretty significant flow volume, and it's a combination. You have aeration cascades down in which you can see the orange ponds, which are the settlement ponds in the middle, and then through a series of wetlands. So they're in South Wales, UK. And how do we develop these systems? So you need to go through a system of research and development. You can basically scale up from there. You can have bench scale. You can go up to sort of container size, pilot scale. And basically then you can move up, keep going up, and eventually you can do it up to the full scale. It's important to do that on your site. Climate is a big deal. So you really want to see for 6 months, 12 months how it's running in your site-specific location with your site-specific water. This is an example of sequential treatment. Like active systems, you can put them in stages. So here you can see you've got a balancing pond to take out some sediment as well. Then you're through your bioreactors, down into a series of polishing wetlands, and then finally another stage for manganese removal. This is a pretty common approach that people will use it in stages like they would do for active systems. And then finally, just in conclusion, I think they're a good sustainable option. You're using organic materials, which can be waste. You're not importing chemicals. You're making use of gravity. You're generating very little waste. But you have to consider your local environment and climate. But there's a series of established principles you can follow to assess this. And you need chemical data, and you need a solid design process. And you need to be supported and have an investment in R&D to make this work for you on your project. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ed. That was a very informative presentation, and I'm sure it will be see big applicability in Kazakhstan in light of, again, more stringent requirements in water regulations and, more of an expectation of sustainable methods. And I think this is a just absolutely great example of what can be done here. I'd like to invite now the next speaker is Johan Barnard. He is from Kaz Minerals. He will be speaking on ESG effectiveness and, oh, sorry, this was you. Yes.
I bring my apologies. Johan Barnard is going to elaborate on efficiency and innovation improvements across the mining and processing value chain in Kaz Minerals.
Processing value.
Добрый день всем. Я думаю, что вы сейчас очень хорошо себя чувствуете после обеда. Ну, вы уже видите то, о чем я буду говорить. Это повышение эффективности и внедрение инноваций по всей цепочке горно-обогатительных процессов Kaz Minerals. Все, что было проделано, вы можете увидеть здесь на слайде. Я, наверное, все не буду зачитывать, потому что будет слишком долго. Ну, на самом деле мы являемся одной из самых быстрорастущих производителей меди. Мы ориентируемся на крупномасштабную низкозатратную добычу открытым способом в Казахстане и в Кыргызстане. Ну и, конечно же, у нас очень большой опыт, который является успешным. И мы реализуем проекты по добыче полезных ископаемых с нуля. То есть наша стратегия делает, конечно же, упор на долгосрочный устойчивый рост, на ключевых поставках, площадках, открытые медные рудники, например, Ахтухай, Башаголь, да, вот и вот в Кыргызстане тоже мы вот в Бозумчак сейчас работаем над медно-золоторудным месторождением. Вы можете увидеть это на изображениях. Те регионы, в которых мы работаем, Бозумчак, Башаголь и Ахтухай. Бушакуль недалеко находится, стоит где-то 2 часа, это вот в сторону Павлодара, по Павлодарской трассе. Мы производим 80 тонн меди, которые 30% из Башакуль и Ахтугай, остальное мы производим в Бозумчах, в Ахтугай, конечно же, мы производим золото. На следующем слайде вы можете увидеть нашу такую глобальную, скажем, медную дилемму и возникающие проблемные вопросы. Вот.
Kaz Minerals face similar challenges than the rest of the gold mines in the world, copper mines in the world. But you can see the global copper demand worldwide is increasing due to the transition of green energy, decarbonization that we heard as well. Copper is a critical mineral that you heard in the earlier presentations this morning. And although copper reserves have grown since the 1930s, the reserves currently is around 1 billion tons that we know on the reserves worldwide. However, the average grade of those deposits is in decline, that you can see in the center graph there. Now, you can see the line, which is the average grade of the reserves. Now, our Boscol and Aktugai operations is below that line. We're sitting at 0.4 on average, and it's continuously going to decline over the life of these operations, similar to the rest of the reserves. Just on the left-hand side is just more or less where we sit on the age of our mines. As I mentioned, Bosokol, Aktugai, and Bosumchak has been built in the last 10 years. That's about 25% of the world copper mines that produce more than 15 kilotons per annum. We sit in that range. Then we have one older mine, Artemievsky mine. It's more about 20 years. It's the other quartile, and the rest of the mines are much older. So these mines are dying out, and we need to find more reserves, reserves to meet this demand on the right-hand side. You can see the deficit there in yellow, as you can see as of 2023 onwards. However, what is our response to that? Continuously, we're investing in technologies to improve efficiency, maximize extraction, and maintain competitive low-cost operations. We're only not doing that to stay in business, but it's the right thing to do in order to minimize our environmental footprint. So the next slide is our approach to safe and efficient operations. At Kaz Minerals, we're prioritizing achieving operational efficiencies through innovation, driven by our culture, our people, and advanced technologies. We invested in innovative technologies, positioning us in the forefront of mining and processing excellence in the operating sites that we operate. Now, how we normally go about deciding which technologies and which projects we invest and how we do that is very simple. It's aligned with our corporate values. They're all there on the left-hand side is long-term efficiency, it's safety, which includes the environmental, minimizing our impact on the environment, integrity, and teamwork. And then obviously overall professional development of our people. We get smarter, we have smart people, but we continuously investing in them to understand how to operate safely. So safety and sustainability is one of the guidelines. So obviously we will invest in technologies that will improve the safety of our people, that will reduce the environmental footprint. And then secondly is efficiency, performance, obviously that will lower our cost to stay competitive. Some examples there is we've built these two mines initially with a throughput rate of concentrated throughput rate of sulfide minerals, ore processing of about 25 million tons per year. It's SAG mill, ball mill, flotation processes. Currently today they're operating close to 30 million tons per annum. So we're pushing through that, through technology and innovative ideas to get the maximum out of that investment that we had, and obviously to optimize our processes. Lastly, it's the implementation of innovative tools in professional development, and I'll show a few of these technologies as I go along through the next slides. So this is the mining value chain. It's supported overarching safety and environment right at the top. That's overarching through all of these chains. As you see, it all starts with exploration, geology, modeling, mine planning, drill and blast, goes through ore handling, sorting, haulages, and then the stockpiling, processing, and tailing storage facilities. Enterprise management, how to reduce wastage time, how to get our logistics up front on time when we do shutdowns, when we need to do. Kazakhstan is a landlocked country. In order to get our supplies here, not to impact the operations is very critical. So that's all done through enterprise asset management. Get uptime is key for us. We run our concentrators run at 94-95% availability throughout the year. We have major shutdowns to do that. Our trucks in order of close to 94% as well. So the equipment and the investment that we do is all aligned in order to improve efficiency and to reduce wastage. That's key. So this is just a quick snapshot. You can see mining and all the technologies on the left-hand side. Then concentrators, and then in the office environment. I mean, this 15 minutes is not enough. It doesn't do me any justice to tell you about everything we do. I just selected a few of those that go a little bit more detail. Then, first of all, safety, as I mentioned, is of critical importance to us. And our people. Besides our ore body, our people is the biggest resource that we have, and we have to invest in them to make sure our people operate safely, that they have the tools, that they can analyze emergency situations, how to get out of the emergency situation, and what to do if an emergency arises. And that you can only do when you don't want to go and mimic a real-time emergency situation. You need to do that in virtual reality. So we do virtual reality training on simulators of trucks, welding, etc. This is another critical area for us, is collision avoidance, accidents. So we get alerts when one truck or one vehicle gets close to another one. It gives us real-time alerts in order to head away of that. I'm going to go a little bit quicker through that. If there's any questions, you can ask me afterwards. Efficiency mine dispatch systems. This is really to drill down on lost time. So this is why we do that. We've got about, 37 trucks at one mine, another 40 at another mine. And if we don't have this system, we need about 30-40% more equipment in order to do that. And all our trucks is mainly diesel driven. There's no technology yet out there. I know there's a lot of technology and research in the way of battery-operated equipment and LNG gas, for instance. At the moment, our trucks are all diesel-operated, and 2.7 kilograms of carbon dioxide per liter of diesel. So for us, having trucks operating inefficiently is just wastage. It is pushing carbon dioxide in the air, which we don't need, and it is just cost. Yeah. They're all run by high-precision GPS systems. We have a private network. One of the first and the largest in Kazakhstan is the LTE 4G network to handle all the data. That's the biggest problem. People invest in technologies, but then they realize we can't handle the data. So you need to have a good network. Another one is fatigue monitoring system to keep our operators alert. This is cameras that's in the truck, in the front. If an operator, just like you guys now, nipping after lunch, it will give you an alert to wake up. You get vibrations, it goes to the control room, and the control room operator will call the driver on the radio, or or the supervisor will get the same alert. It also forward-facing cameras. It helps us with accident investigations and all sorts of other improvements. Next slide. There is efficiency in groundwater management, depressurization of our high walls in the open pits. And you would see that, why would you do that? Why would you want to lower the phreatic table in the high walls of the open pit? It's very simple. Yeah, we pump a lot of water. It's nuisance water in the open pits. Besides that, it gives pressure behind the high walls, and that means that we need to shallow our slope angles in the open pit. For that, it's more waste to mine, more carbon footprint, and it just doesn't make sense. So we invested in horizontal drills. These drills can drill 240 meters inside the high wall, and you can see the water draining out of the high wall. It is to depressurize the high wall. That means that we can mine steeper, less waste to mine, and it's just the right thing to do. Those drills, you can immediately think it's a $5 million drill, and many people will say, well, it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make business sense to do that. But if you save 100 million tons of waste mining at $1.40, $1.50, it makes sense to invest $5 million to get a $200 million return. So that's why we do that. I think besides the safety, we have trials. We have done it on the high walls. We steepen up the walls up to 56 degrees. Some of the bench face angles is increased from 60 degrees to 80 degrees as a result of this. The phreatic table has dropped by 30 meters in our trial area. Geotechnical monitoring, we also do that in the open pits. We also do that on our tailing storage facilities. Slope monitoring radars, total station prisms. We have about 4 radars per open pit to keep our people safe and warn them if there's any slightest movement in the high walls to evacuate them in time. Satellite monitoring, INSAR. We've done that for all our sites. It covers the open pits, it covers the tailing storage dams, and the dump leach facilities and stockpiles. Vibrating wire piezometers and time delay telemetry, and we have a 24/7 monitoring station that inform our people if there's any alert whatsoever coming from these technologies. Long-term efficiency is underground, robotic shotcrete. I'm not going to go into that, but mainly here is to remove the people from the dangerous zones by not installing the old way of passive support, but to get more active support directly onto the rock face. And it's all done robotically with robotic arms on shotcrete equipment. We invested in a batch plant on surface, sending the concrete down 650 meters to the underground. We have underground batch plants. And we spray around 60 cubic meters per day through those equipment. Next one is online fragmentation analysis. We analyze this fragmentation, spending the money in the open pit to get savings downstream in the concentrator area. As I said, the concentrator area, the cost is about 5 times the cost of mining. So spending it in the mine, blasting finer, and analyze the fragmentation just makes sense for us, and it will improve throughput rates as well. In the concentrator, sorry, is the last slide, second last slide, I think. We have some technologies in the concentrators, sulfide plants, is fuzzy logic to stabilize our floats. It's froth cameras that we install to above the flotation cells, and that will measure the velocity and also the froth characteristics to improve recoveries. Other technologies is ProFloat. We installed it at Bosokal mine. It's a magnetic aggregation technology to improve recovery of fine liberated minerals, particularly below 38 microns. Other technology is mill slicer, tri-slicer installed on our SAG mills. That is actually to monitor vibrations, monitor liner damage and wear, and actually can predict when we need to do shutdowns, that we don't get unplanned downtime, but rather planned downtime. We can talk a lot about that. We installed the Jameson cell at Bosokal, is the largest probably in the world, I think, to improve copper and gold recovery through fine bubble generation, flotation, and allow for high throughput in small and a very small footprint. It basically increase our concentrate grade from about 22% up to 26%. So we actually transport, when we export our concentrate out of the country, we export less waste with that, so higher content of copper and less waste. So it's actually environmental improvement as well. On the right hand side, last one is an AI-driven technology that we have developed together with some partners to adjust enhance the throughput rates and the recovery. That gives you recommendations based on historical values, historical data, and this AI tool will actually recognize that and give recommendations to the operators how to change reagents. We actually have now done our own in-house AI-based technology based on that as well, with our own data scientists working for us. Last one is, and many will ask why this is here, is tailings disposal. Our tailings dams is up to 13 kilometers long. That's one of the challenges of mining in the steppe. The steppe is very flat. It's a very flat area. So to build a tailings dam, you either need to go 100 meters up, 200 meters up, 300 meters up for the volumes that we need to save and store. But we need to do that very safely. So that's why our tailings dams are very flat in order to store the volumes. And you can see what we have done is this central thickened discharge technology is actually to centralize the solids in the center of the tailing storage facility, and you get a very steep beach angle down to the construction area, and that will minimize our construction volumes that we need to do every year. So that is actually reducing our environmental footprint as a result of that. That is all the existing technologies. This gives you a little bit of a flavor of new things that we're looking at to continuously improve our smartness, as I can say, in terms of technologies that we further look into that. We started already with exploration, speeding up, getting smarter with identifying targets, mine planning, drilling and blasting. It's all AI-based technologies that we're looking at. We've got an in-house company that we registered for research and innovation hub in terms of gas minerals, so we're very active in that space. I think that brings us to the end of the presentation. Apologies that I'm a bit over time. I hope not, but it comes back to our culture, to our values in the company, and on the right-hand side is our goal zero approach of anything that we do in terms of safety, in terms of environment, and the health of our people. And Gas Minerals continue to do research and development, to invest in technologies to improve the safety and efficiency of our processes on a principle that makes business sense, and also to improve the skill and efficiency of our people and to reduce our carbon footprint. So I think I'm open for any questions, but maybe I'm up for time. I see he was chasing me a number of times, so I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Johan. I think we will, yes, thank you so much. It's a very informative presentation. It's a shame we didn't have more than 10 minutes to listen to it more in detail. And I think it's a great example of how you can use technology to address the sustainability while not compromising production. So it's excellent. But I think we will leave the questions until the end of the session, if you don't mind. And I would like to give the floor. Yes, thank you again, Johan. I'd like to give the floor to Dilara Yedenbayeva. She's the Director of Sustainability with Solid Core Eurasia. Dilara will present the ESG efficiency and the results of 2024. Dilara, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Добрый день.
Good day, dear participants, dear guests of MINEX Forum. Today, I would like to present you my slides. I would like to start with the following. Over the past 3 years, Solid Core has come a long way, and not an easy way, but, we completely focused on Kazakhstani assets. We changed our strategy, and we exclude the Russian part of the business from our portfolio. And all of this happened due to geopolitical and economic realities of our time. However, we are continuing to extract gold, copper, silver, but we also now focus on the other base metals, because we understand that there is an energy transition in the global economy, and of course base metals will play a key role in this modern world. All this time, in general, we followed our standards and our policies with regard to sustainability. Despite these turbulent times, we continue to maintain ESG principles, and we preserve our commitment to ecological and social sphere. Today, I would like to tell you about our strategic plans, about our strategic projects. So here on this slide you can see our assets. Can I please also stand like this to see the screen? So this slide presents our assets, our two key assets in Kazakhstan, plus our development projects. We have an ambitious portfolio of projects, development projects. We plan to strengthen our positions in the Central Asia. Also, now we've been registered at AIX, and all our public data, they have been verified and they are available on our site. I also would like to mention some of our achievements that we are proud of. So here we speak about safety at the production site. We have zero trauma rate, and I want to say that we take care about our employees and about the community community and about environment as well. Today the topic of our session touches the issue related to water, and as you might know, Kazakhstan and Central Asia, they are impacted by this water scarcity, and in our strategy we follow the sensible water consumption approach. And as for our indicators over 2024, we can say 96% of all water is reused or recycled, and only 4% is fresh water. And I can say that we are the leaders in this sector according to this indicator. So next slide presents our key strategic plans. Mainly they are related to the energy transition topic. All our assets, they are electrified. We have a smooth power supply. However, we cannot decrease or reach our goals on decarbonization only through this network electricity. So last year, the Board of Directors approved the large project on implementation of green energy sources and on some transition energy sources. So at Varvara Hub, by the end of 2026, we will construct an energy hub and solar power plant and additional gas power plant. The total capacity of the hub will be 63 megawatt, and these two projects will cover the energy needs for Varvara and Varvarinskaya. Then next year we plan to construct a Kyzyl solar plant. We will have also the electricity flows from the Varvarinskaya hub, and which allows us to fully meet the electricity demand of Kyzyl. So again, it would be two solar plants and a gas power plant. Next slide presents you our carbon profile. In addition to the projects that I have already mentioned, we do have some other initiatives that allow us to reduce our direct and indirect emissions by 45% by 2030. However, we do not want to stop with this. We aim to achieve carbon neutrality by 2050. Here you can see net positive impact. We actually look at the bigger picture of our activity. We don't want to focus only now at the part where we work, extraction and processing. No, we also look at the future, and we implemented the specific project, the forestation project. It is in Kostanay region, 20 kilometers away from Varvarinskaya mine. So this project was registered in the national system of emissions. It was last year, and I want to say that these lands within this project, they are reserve lands. They have never been used before by local citizens or by agricultural specialists. So without the man-made effect, these lands would be degraded. So 30 hectares forestation projects, we have a very good results already. This year we increase our planting process almost 6 times. Why we are in this national system? Because we want to revive this market, and we want to contribute our efforts to the NCD of Kazakhstan. So here you can see the photo, the real photo from our sites where we did this planting, and now I would suggest you to see the video. Here you cannot see the sampling planting because they are not very high. However, you can see the scale of this forestation project. So here we the area for planting, 30 hectares are presented on the video, but this year we will increase it. It would be plus 162 hectares. It's a large-scale work, and this project, of course, will not decrease the emissions of our companies a lot. However, such initiatives are really necessary, and this is the example for other companies that are at the market. We show by our examples that you need to leave something else for future generations. Well, with this, I have finished. I think that I was able to make it shorter than the previous speaker, and so we kind of compensate by this. Thank you. Thank you so much, Dilara, for this interesting presentation. I think it is the other positive example when the company shows such good actions. 160 hectares. It's actually one of the first projects from mining sector. I also would like to congratulate Dilara and your team. PwC recognized your report as the best report in this industry. It's a big achievement, and we hope that it will be example for other companies as well. The other companies will also do the same ESG reporting as you did it. Our next guest is Ronan, Regional Director of Energy and Chemistry, Schneider Electric. The presentation's name is Transformation of the Process of Extraction, More Sustainability through Electrification and Digitalization.
Perfect. So I am Ronan Treguet. I am overseeing the heavy industries segment for Schneider Electric across Middle East and Africa. And heavy industries that are mining, minerals, metals, and also oil and gas companies. And we found those sectors having the same challenges in this world, in this part of the world. So Schneider Electric, for those who do not know this company, it's a very old lady because it's a company that was born 186 years ago from France, and that has expanded over time as a global technology leader. We are operating everywhere in the world with our 150,000 colleagues, and it's a company now for which the value is really to provide the technologies to help people to make the most of their energies and resources, to bridge progress and sustainability. And we want to be the partner for the end users of our technologies on sustainability and efficiency. And I think this is pretty much resonating with the two presentations that we've just had, for which I've seen some of the core topics that I will probably reinforce in this presentation. So one thing is unique about Schneider is we've been nominated, and we are pretty proud of it, the most sustainable company in the world for 2025 by Corporate Knights, and also we have somehow quite a consistent track record of sustainability award over the past 15 years. This is due to the strong push from our CEOs since 20 years now to make this company truly sustainable. So we are operating, and when we speak about sustainability, we first speak about sustainability for ourselves. So we want to be a sustainable company, and then we want to shape our portfolio to bring the most sustainable technologies for our customers. So, speaking about mining, it's really the foundation of progress and sustainability for all. It's everywhere in our today's world. I think we've been speaking a lot about that this morning. We see critical minerals for automation system, for digital system, for electrification with the rise of renewable, for buildings as well. There are a lot of minerals that are used also to make those buildings more smart and more reliable and more energy efficient. In the consumer packaged goods as well, lots of minerals and so forth and so forth. So why we speak now about green mining? Because those mines are essential industries. More than 50 metals are used in a smartphone, or more than 80. There is 80% more copper used in the EV than in combustion engines. So this is really the rise of the minerals for the mining and the minerals for this industry. Why it needs to be green due to water scarcity, and I think it has been strongly reinforced this morning, because this is currently affecting around 50 to 60% of the mines in operations. 80 to 90%, as per our research, are being built in water scarce areas. And mining is really the second largest water intensive sector, so there is a lot to be done in that regards. Global warming, because mining is a key contributor to the global GHG emissions, not only CO2, so to 5 to 7% of the global emissions. And we see more and more pressure on this industry to reduce, of course, those emissions. And we see now emerging some new innovative business model like the H2 green steel in Europe, for which Schneider contributed. And we see more and more industry commitment as well, and I will go quick on this one because that's also clearly reflected way better than me by the two previous presentations. So there is increased pressure from all the stakeholders for sustainability, wherever we speak about regulators, investors, employees, communities, and also customers, the people that are creating the demand. In Kazakhstan, how is it reflected? There are much more stringent policies since 2021. Abatement on methane emission, commitment on methane emissions, the use of best available techniques. We see some also increased penalties for companies that are not fulfilling the requirements. There is a regulation that is freeing up also the electricity generation from renewable, and since June 2024, even individuals and small and medium enterprise are allowed to generate and sell electricity from renewable. I will speak a little bit later about that. And the recently newly Ministry of Water Resources and Irrigation and the new water code has been adopted by the Majlis in the last month. So very important also for Kazakhstan. So for Schneider, if I want to really simplify the equations, is the more we bring digital. Sorry, I will just come back. The more we bring digital, the more we bring energy efficiency, because digital is really helping to make the invisible visible. Through digital, we are able to monitor, follow the trends, and take action. So for us, it's a really key component of the sustainability journey of all companies and also governments. I think I was pretty blessed this morning to see all the effort in terms of digitization from the Ministry of Mining. Digital coupled with electrification. Electrification, it's the best vector for decarbonization. So that's the equation for Schneider, is the more we bring digital onto the world, the more we bring electrification into the world, the more we create a more sustainable, green and smart world. So what does that mean is so in terms of electrification, we can decarbonize and make best use of any precious resources. We can accelerate the transition to green sustainable processes. We can switch the energy being consumed to 100% coming from renewables and battery, or we can connect to the grid as long as the grid is decarbonized. Through digital, we can improve the asset efficiency. I think Kaz Minerals has been talking a lot about it. We can optimize the value chain from resource to market, and we can also empower workforce and manage changes and to create a faster response to any incident. We can also better transfer the knowledge in between the people with such as operator training system or the use of digital twin in the operation. So addressing emissions from all the sources is key. I just put a graph where the emissions are typically coming from in the mining, but I will not expand in this one. At least I see some people taking pictures. I will just let the picture being taken. So from Schneider, where are we operating? Where are we providing solutions to help those digitization and electrification trends? So first, to electrification, we provide a digital microgrid for mining to help mining companies to be self-sufficient in terms of power as well. So we can improve the energy mix for the mining industry. We are also operating energy efficiency initiative towards mining. We are working through the process energy management to better operate and help miners to better operate their mines. We are providing digital and integrated power and system solution to break the silos between the traditional process domain and power domain, and for the process operator to also make smart decision based on the power available of the mine. And we are also providing integrated digital ecosystem that I will expand a little bit later through better information on data analysis. And I think here Cas Mineral also had a good example with the use of PI across operation. And PI is the kind of technology that Schneider, through his affiliate Aveva, is providing on the market. And we provide also solutions for water efficiency. So I will just expand into 4 domains: so the digital microgrid, the energy efficiency, PI, data management and analytics, and water efficiency solution. The microgrid, this is an interesting solution today, enabled by the Kazakhstan regulation, where today you have the ability to develop, execute and operate fully independent renewable that you can connect to your operation to decrease your dependency to any third party providing you the power needed, and also better manage your efficiency inside your operation. And this is requiring a bit of digital technology, because you can imagine that renewable, it's very intermittent source of energy. So usually when the nights come, you don't have access to power when we speak about a solar plant, and when there is no wind, you cannot create your power. So you need some digital tools that is helping you, on a timely basis, to arbitrate versus the various source of energies. I will go very quickly because the time is a challenge. So the second is energy efficiency through AI-based optimization techniques. So we are providing advanced process control system that are helping, as an example, mining refiners to decrease their energy consumptions, and also to improve their production rates. This is powered with patented algorithm. So that's the kind of technology that today we see more and more integrated into the mining sector. So I go very quickly on PI, just to mention that usually today we are developing more and more unified operation center for minings to enable minings to have an operational view, time-based, real-time, of all their operation, all through wherever they are. And we have the ability to help mining industry also to forget about the former Excel file and the manual work of gathering data, and to have really real-time such kind of information where we can drill down at the level of a mine and see any type of key performance indicator on a real-time basis. And this is really a key element to help this industry to also be more efficient. And this is also, I will say, with the rise of digital twin, we have the ability for any kind of maintenance to go through the digital twin, having access to the engineering data, and send the operator to do whatever maintenance or whatever work with a really laser focus objective. So I will go very quick on this one. So that's the technology that we can bring through better water management in the mining industry. I just want to close the presentation today because we are also a sustainability practitioner, and this is somehow a bit less known in this industry. We, over time, have created a program for ourselves and for various industry. So for ourselves, like in 2021, we created the Zero Carbon Project, and the purpose of Schneider is really to decrease the scope 3, which is quite challenging, of our emissions with our top 1,000 suppliers, where we are educating them, fixing target to reduce their carbon emissions. And obviously this is challenging for us because sometimes we need to arbitrate between sustainability and cost. Because at the end we need to still deliver a very efficient supply chain to our customer worldwide. And in April 2024, we created also a similar program named Materialize for natural resources. So we are helping companies, and specifically mining companies such as Glencore, to reduce also their scope 3 emissions. So for any mining operator that are willing to join their program, we are warmly welcoming them, and I am available to pursue the discussion. Thank you very much.
Ronan, thank you so much for such, yet again, great presentation. I think in a way it's sort of like a full circle because Schneider Electric, of course, will depend on materials provided by the mining, like because minerals is one of those providers, like in way of copper, and then you providing those solutions that can be used by mining companies to decrease their carbon footprint and just work towards sustainability. So I think, thank you very much. And I think we have one last presentation, and then we can have maybe a discussion if you will allow the time. I think we have enough time to do that. And I'll switch to Russian now.
For our last presentation, I think last but not least, I would like to invite Zhubek Zhvagarova, Head of the Ecological Expertise, Ministry of Ecology and Water Resources of the Republic of Kazakhstan. Without presentation, Zhubek Zhvagarova, please, the floor is yours. Good afternoon. I would like to greet you on behalf of the Ministry, and I would like to express gratitude for participation in the principles of ESG as well as innovations in this sector. Well, you know that there are amendments that will be made and into the legal system which will be aligned with the best practices, ESG principles, as well as the green agenda, etc. And I really enjoyed the presentations that I have heard from speakers that are here, and I'm happy that all of these instruments, ESG principles, as well as the new technologies used in order to optimize and increase the efficiency, it is something that makes me glad, and we have also provided in our legal framework principles that we try to adhere, and strategies and the commitment in order to reach net zero until 2060 is something that we need to adhere to, which we have also integrated into our legal framework. And attraction of the green technologies is one of the key projects nowadays, and on a high quality management on a high quality of those kind of projects is really important as well. And also taking into consideration European EBRD experience in green financing gave us opportunity to cooperate on designing the ESG principles and investment. This project is dedicated for intensification of the green financing, which will make contribution in order to attract green investment. Well, in the frames of this project, we have designed clear ESG principles that all enterprises shall stick to, the practices, standards, and instruments for green financing. So nowadays, we need to highlight or mention that successfully the Council is successfully working together with the National Chamber of Entrepreneurs Atamican. Well, that's what we have nowadays in the ministry. Banks of second tier, Halak Bank and Finance is also promote the ESG principles in financing and investments. Our work is also directed towards commitment of the Paris Agreement. We are bearing responsibility on decrease of the emissions of CO2 and, of course, implementation of green taxonomy and ecological code. It is provided that starting 2025, all the operators of the first category shall integrate the technologies in order to obtain the permits to operate. So we had complex ecological permit, as we call it. Shymkent, for example, refinery plant had already received. Before that, we had issued for ERG, Sokolov Nazarbayev Enterprise, and Gazprom. So, starting this year, the norms that had been provided in the code is working document, and we also considering several applications. We are working on it. Despite of it, we also have green taxonomy, where criteria are the renewable sources of energy, the wastewater management, clean transport, ecological, which are directed towards the decrease of the emissions. As the impetus, second-tier banks use green subsidies, green loans, where we utilize ESG principles. In a legal framework, we had provided principles of integration of sustainable development. This is something that we apply and work with. And also, it is necessary to mention that principles of ecological code are widely applied, and nowadays we are expecting amendments in water code, which is the wastewater treatment principles, and new technologies, innovation technologies in wastewater treatment, as well as water management, where we will apply rational approach. So in the future, we're going to treat wastewater as water resources, which will be used, not just discharged. This is going to be national approach in order to apply rational use of water resources. Well, that's all on my end. These are all new amendments or novellas that we have provided. We know that economy has to develop. We're very happy that mining and subsoil use is developing. We're happy that ESG principles are utilized in this field, but we hope that we will have more green projects. Thank you so much, Zbigniew Żygajew. Now I would like to express gratitude to every and each speaker for full of new content and information presentation. I think each of us had learned something, and the most important thing, we got inspiration from the reports that we have heard. I would like to invite for the discussion, we also have Dinara Akhmetova Karataeva. Are you here? I would like to say that if you're here, you can come over here to the panel discussion. If you want to remain in your seat, then you can be there. But please remember that you are the part of our discussion. And now I would like to invite audience to ask questions. If you have a question, just raise your hand and you can address it to any speaker you see. Since that's not the case, while you are thinking, I would like to ask myself. Well, since Ed was the first one, I'd like to ask you. Ed had a presentation on passive water treatment. I'd like to ask you a question. If company in Kazakhstan would like to install the same technology or equipment, what shall this company do? Where to start? And what will be the process? Do I need to translate into English?
Is it make sense? Yeah. How can this be implemented in Kazakhstan?
Yeah, the same as in my talk. Support the local operator and researcher, I suppose. You need to be given the time and the money to make the assessment, make the research. You need to take your time and invest in it to have a successful system. You can also collaborate with others. So maybe there's others locally to you doing the same thing, and you can club together and think how can you do a research together. But it takes time. You can't rush these things. So that is one of the key things to consider. That gives them the space to do it, I suppose. Thanks.
Maybe just a quick follow-up question, and I will turn to you. When you say it takes time, can you give like a range of time what the company could expect to build and treat and test and implement such treatment?
In my talk, I think I said 6 to 12 months. You need to see a full cycle of the seasons for the pilot testing, and then for construction it's probably relatively quick. But it's that initial phase that they need to be allowed to make a proper assessment. Otherwise, you're asking for a failed system, essentially.
Thank you, Ed. And I think we have a question from the audience. Could we get the...
Yes, question is addressed to Ed. I would like to know, do these systems work in the what are the maximum reservoirs? Does it work with the water leakage in the mining? Well, on your experience, well, the ones that you have shown in a presentation, it doesn't look big as the big reservoirs. Is it possible to apply on large deposits?
But I think you're asking about large flows. Okay. So an underground flow. I mean, the ones in South Wales, that's legacy from old coal mine, and it's the access shaft. And they're doing, there's two there. There's one called Tathmer, 125 litres per second, and the other one, Morlays, does 250 litres per second. So I think that's about 21,000 cube a day, something. I'll have to check, but they're significant flows. And but the key thing is, if that was a very, very high iron content, it wouldn't work. So that's a high flow but a low content. So you have to think about the actual mass load. So they're good at treating high flow, low load. If you have a very discrete low flow with high metal content, you have to think very carefully.
Надеюсь, что ответ был полноценным.
I hope you could have the answer. I would like to ask a question and address it to Johan and Dilara.
A bit of a... my question to you is, you provided us with an overview of technology that is used and maybe some, investments, like you said, for example, a 5 million worth, or maybe less, maybe I've misinterpreted, Johan, on the drone that was used to lower the cost of overburden, if I'm not mistaken. Do you, in your companies, and maybe you can comment on it at the wider, do you do this sort of financial assessment? And can you give us maybe more examples of how not only it makes financial sense, but of course it makes, in the theme of today's discussion, sense in sustainability?
Yes, it's a good question. I think you could see that most of my slides, if you look at our corporate values, if the project for where we need to apply technology sits in efficiency and mainly to improve recovery of copper or anything like that, there's definitely a financial assessment, a payback period that we need to evaluate. If it comes to safety and environment, we don't look, there's no cost that you can put to the life of a person. There's no cost that we can put to, the impact. We can say that we do have zero impact. We always minimize our impact. So what we do is we evaluate what is how can we minimize the impact as far as practically possibly. Obviously there's cost associated with that, but there's very little payback in terms of those things. When it comes to efficiency and productivity improvement, every project that we do has to have its own payback. I've got a very tough CEO. He will not approve it if it doesn't make business sense. Let me put it this way. But he's very smart. They always support health and safety, always comes first, and it's hardly that they don't do that. I haven't discussed that, but for instance, we maximize recycling as much as possible of all our water source, for instance, but in areas where water, we recycle as much as we can, but we know that in Kazakhstan we have seasonal effects as well. We have snow melt. Sometimes snow comes and it's just too much. Then when we do have to discharge into environment, we put very robust technology like reverse osmosis process. We have a plant built specifically for that, where we discharge when the season comes, and it's not permanently, but when the season comes, and that water is pure H2O. It's actually so clear that you actually have to add minerals to make it matching the environmental water. So that's how clear it is, and I mean that's a common process, and we're now studying. And we're going to build a second plant because of the success of the first one. On those ones, there's no payback for that. We have to do that. We comply with the legislation, ROK law, and it's no payback. It's we have to do it. Yeah, it's the right thing to do. I hope it answered your question.
Yeah. Thank you, Johan. That is a very full answer. I think in line with today's session, this was something that companies need to balance. They need to balance out the actual, meeting the production targets while not harming the environment. And I think these sort of examples provide you with maybe an inspiration or just a good example of how companies are trying to maintain that balance. So thank you so much, Johan. Maybe Dilara would like to end anything?
Так, на наших всех предприятиях.
At all our enterprises, we do have the system of collection and treatment of waters. We use the water recycling, let's say. And in my presentation, I've already mentioned that our indicators present 96%. This is water that we use secondary. In all our projects, we comply with all the requirements from the state authority. Speaking about our activities or actions with local communities, actually we do not have any competition with or disagreements with the communities. We work according to the rules, and this year in our budget we do already have some funds dedicated for treatment of Kazakh River, its banks and the river bed. Let's say it's a very big project. Then about water, we also let's say put the specific fish, the Chinese carp, to the rivers so that to treat the river water. We are implementing such projects and some others. These are our events with regard to water. Thank you so much, Dilara. Thank you for giving more examples of solid core companies. We do have the other question from the audience. I have a question to Johan and to Dilara and maybe to Ronan. How digitalization and implementation of new technologies impact the number of jobs? Because it's a very important factor for local communities, because people, despite to move into new technologies, people shall have the opportunity to earn, to make money. Maybe you retrain your personnel, your workers. Could you please answer the question?
Also a very good question. I think when we look at it, our businesses has been developed from feasibility stage when we approve it, and then thereafter you get continuous improvements. So I think that question is more relevant when you start up a mine, where it's much easier to start up the mine. So, for instance, a full autonomous mine. In our case, we don't do that in terms of reduction of people. We know exactly what it is. Our operations are extremely efficient in terms of the number of people that we employ. For instance, we know that as the mine's getting deeper, we need more equipment. It's more likely in the mines where we have an increase in number of operators because of the number of trucks that you employ as a result of the deepening of the mines, and the haul distances gets longer. To transport the same amount of tons over a longer haul distance, you need more equipment for that. So that's the basic principle of that. And for every piece of equipment, you need 4 operators, because we operate over a 4 shift system, our calendar. However, we in Kaz Minerals hasn't decided to go for full autonomous mining. That's not our objective at this stage. But what we're doing is we rather focus on the efficiency of that, to actually cut down on the dead time, the idling time. The trucks some of those trucks are operating 7,800 hours a year. So it's close to almost perfect. There's almost no downtime for those operations. In terms of efficiency, throughput, as I said in my presentation, our operations, the mine has been designed for 25 million ton per year. We're doing 30 million ton per year. And there's a huge knock-on effect of that. The camp, for instance, was not designed for that. So as a result of squeezing extra 5 million tons per plant out, it's almost another mine, full mine. You get mines that doesn't even produce 5 million tons a year. So that's out of an existing infrastructure. So the focus is more on the installed infrastructure that we have. How can we get more out of it without impacting on the health and safety of our people, or we don't want to run the infrastructure to the ground. So we perfectly plan those expansions perfectly. And I think there was, when the studies was done, there's potentially, it just showed you that what you can do out of that. In terms of technology, we get much smarter. Technologies advance, like AI wasn't in place when we designed the mines. It just came back last 2 years, 3 years, it's there. We piggyback on those to cut down on further dead time. And as I said, the grade of our mines are declining. So when we started 10 years ago, the grade was much higher. Now we need to do much more to get the same metal out. And that, you need people for that. So, very fortunate. So I think we work also very closely with local communities. There is no lay down from our side. We give the assurances, we need the people, we need the skill, and as long as mining is there, we need people to do that and extract it. We will get smarter, and if it's only through natural nutrition. We have no other plans to reduce that. And I don't believe that technology will ever replace a human being. My view is that you will just get a transfer of skill. You might need it in this area, and as you get smarter now, we have so many systems in place that you need more skilled labor, like technicians, to maintain these systems. So you actually create more jobs because of these systems and being smarter. Yeah. So.
Hello. Yeah, it's working. I can complement this view from technology supplier angle. I think it may affect some. As we should know, I acknowledge that depending on the industry, when you bring some digitization, it may reduce the number of people that you need to do one task. Then it creates also, on the other way, some new jobs. Like who were speaking about data scientists, I don't know, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, who were speaking about AI engineers 10 years ago, 8 years ago. And this is new competencies that we need. And if we want our industries remaining attractive for newcomers, young people, we need also to bring in those industries the modern technologies. Because this is also what is attracting them. And there is a bottom line here, is we need to keep the know-how and the knowledge as well, and this is requiring people to manage. Then, I come from a country, France, which is well known for strike, and we've got people doing strike just because they do not want to get upgraded sometimes into a modern thing. And I have seen some people operating in some refineries where they still want to operate with the Excel file, while you've got some system that can making things fully autonomous. And the legislation does not allow, and this is. I'm not sure that it's a good thing to be frank, because this is not attracting new people in this industry, in this particular industry. So I think yes, it has an effect on one side on the jobs, but on the other side, this is creating a fully new jobs, and the jobs that you do not have in the sector A are coming in the sector B. If you look at the data center industry, if you look at the software industry, there are a lot of needs in this space.
Да, я тоже добавлю, ага.
Let me also add here, of course, digitalization in general simplifies the whole work or operation of mines. all AI and technologies make the work and operations more safe and more efficient. Our employees are now working in a safer condition. At the same time, we speak about increasing efficiency, increasing the speed of processes. Without digitalization, we cannot move on, we cannot move forward. Digitalization is a big advantage for all of us, for the industry, for the sector. However, with regard to the workforce, I cannot say that there were lots of decreasing in the number of employees, because anyway, all these new technologies, all these new machines, they require maintenance from the operators, from people, and again, we speak about increasing output of productivity, and of course it means more people that would process it further. Digitalization is very good because the level of traumas and incidents became lower. Thank you for your patience. Our session has come to an end, but I would like to ask one final question to Ms. Zhivek, because she is the only person that hasn't participated in the discussion yet. My question is about this integrated or comprehensive permits. You said that three organizations received these permits, and you said that this year is a deadline for this specific category. My question is the following. Do you expect that there could be delays for some organizations due to some technical issues, due to some delays in BAT, best available techniques implementation? And the other question, maybe you don't want to answer this question, but I think it is interesting for all of us. It's a sensitive issue. To what extent is the ministry ready to do the monitoring, and are there any risks or are there any concerns that maybe you do not have enough workforce in your ministry to do all the work that is ahead? Regarding the permit issues, top 50 enterprises received these permits, but last year, by the decree of the government, there were some amendments to this list of 50 enterprises. 22 power generating enterprises might have delays on BAT, best available techniques implementation. Now the deadline for them is 2031, because out of all these 50 enterprises, these enterprises are the most sensitive. So now we have this, let's say, legitimate delay for this power generation enterprise. But I want to say that this year we are going to update this list. Maybe we will expand. Maybe instead of these 22 power generation enterprises that have permit will be expanded and something else. This is with regard to the first question. As for the second question, our workforce, our employee, our ministry has always a lack or shortage of employees. And again, here, if we speak about issuance of such permits, we need to have qualified experts, but at the same time, we need to train young specialists. We need to revise. It is easy to issue this permit. You just give it out, you prescribe all the conditions, but then when you conduct the state expertise control, so a good specialist is required there. Of course, I can frankly say that we have now shortage of specialists. We do not have enough specialists, and of course, we need also to expand the activity of our monitoring service. Now we are implementing automated monitoring systems that might simplify our work. However, still we need to have other technical specialists to do the maintenance of the system. All this work, of course, is labor intensive. We need to have resources to do everything. Yes, we face challenges, But this is maybe the minus of the public service. Each day we have the urgent work, and besides this urgent work, there is the other urgent work, and yes, we do have the shortage of people. Thank you so much. I think that we had quite an informative discussion, and we had wonderful presentations and slides. I want to thank all of you for your attention. I want to thank our speakers for their active participation in today's session. I think that we've learned a lot today, and we've discussed important aspects related to the mining sector. If there are any further questions, please don't be shy. You can come to our participants during coffee break. I want again to thank you and organizers, volunteers that help us to follow and to keep the time. Thank you so much, and goodbye.
Kazakhstan's mining sector is undergoing significant changes due to new environmental and water regulations. The updated water code, addressing growing concerns over water scarcity, imposes stricter rules on activities near water bodies, creating operational challenges for mining companies. They must adopt innovative solutions for water recycling and sustainable usage while managing increased costs. In addition to water regulations, Kazakhstan is enhancing its environmental policies to reduce the ecological impact of industrial activities, including mining. These efforts align with global environmental, social, and governance standards. Companies are required to improve environmental management, invest in emissions reduction technologies, and focus on biodiversity conservation. To stay competitive and earn stakeholder trust, businesses must embrace transformative practices to comply with these evolving regulations. This session, hosted by SLR Consulting with other industry experts, offers an opportunity to explore innovative solutions shaping Kazakhstan's sustainable mining development. From advanced water treatment and operational efficiency to cutting-edge ESG strategies and digital transformation in green mining, we will gain valuable insights into building a responsible, resilient mining sector. With these challenges come opportunities for growth and collaboration, setting new sustainability standards for Kazakhstan's resource-driven economy.